Call the December 27th, 2022 meeting to order. Go ahead and stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I was trying to get Barb a second to stand up.
That's okay. Sorry about that, Barb.
That's okay.
Number 4, consent agenda, approval of the Park Advisory Committee meeting minutes from Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022.
Did we do a roll call?
Oh, nope. Roll call. I'll do roll call, Mike. I missed that one.
Yeah. Lauren,
Present.
Barb,
Present.
Vanessa,
Present.
Dave,
Present.
and Mike.
Present.
Good.
Now number 4, consent agenda, approval of Park Advisory Committee meeting minutes, Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022. Entertain a motion to accept the minutes as posted.
Barb Tousley, I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the November 22nd meeting as printed.
We have a motion by Barb Tousley. Do we have a second?
Lauren Sestak, second it.
Lauren Sestak with the second. All in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Opposed with an A. That's approved. New and old business items. A, review of the park impact fee and the facility needs assessment proposals. Mike?
Okay, so in November, we went out for advertisement for the parking impact fee and the facility needs assessment proposal. In the November town council meeting, they opened them up, and you guys should get some emails early on in November. So what you see below is in the memo that I've written there is just basically the submittals for we got 3 for the needs assessment and 3 for the park impact fee. So what I put a little Excel document together that I emailed out. It's in the back of the memo here too. Just kind of a little bit of a score sheet per se, just of listing kind of what was submitted, what we were asking for, which everyone basically submitted everything. Comparing, you can obviously go through, compare the prices, the timelines and stuff like that as well. But basically wanted to discuss it all with you guys, and this is what we got. And this, I know we've talked about, at least we've talked about the facility needs assessment, I think 2 other times during this year and stuff like that, and see which one that we like, and then I would eventually write up a memo and to send over to the council for recommendation if you guys are comfortable with one or the other. I know the American Construction Point is in here as well. They submitted stuff. I know they were here, I think it was back in August, I think, talking in front of everyone during that meeting and stuff like that. But if you have any questions over proposals, I could answer as best as I can. But just seeing what we're looking at.
When I looked at the proposals, I don't know maybe if I was not reading it correctly for the facility needs assessment. So for fees, American Construction Point obviously came in with the lowest fee. But when I compared their scope of work to the Arsh Group, it looked like the Arsh Group was doing this complete package. They would get the construction, budgetary estimate or ROM for the construction. There were renderings. They had a whole host of things for their fee. And American Structure Point had maybe the first 2 or 3 things that the Arsh Group was including as part of their fee. So, I had a hard time comparing apples to apples with them because Arsh Group threw so much more into it.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, because I know when American Structure Point was here, they mentioned this is kind of like a phase 1, kind of a thing. I mean, also within the advertisement too listed out, interviews and stuff like that, which there hasn't been any, up to this point, stuff like that. I just wanted to look at. I mean, that's something we could, if we want to, schedule interviews with the two, talk further and stuff like that too. That might be beneficial and stuff like that too. But yeah, I mean, the Arts Group did have a lot in there. Even with both of them and stuff like that, you said, Vero, a lot of information and stuff like that, for sure. American Structure Point had less stuff in there. I do think the scope of it was a little more accurate, though. I guess what's being looked for. I guess what we're looking for the initial part of it, because we know there's be kind of like a second phase with this too after we kind of go through this and stuff, but I mean, we could do interviews and stuff. We can invite them in to to talk between the two groups, separately, obviously, and stuff like that. To get a better feel. If you like to.
Well, I guess my only comment was, let's just say all we're looking for right now is an assessment, truly an assessment, and not because of whatever restraints. I mean, nothing against the Arts Group, but if they give us a more complete plan and we choose not to go with it or go forward at this time or whatever the council decides, then aren't we kind of paying for something that we may or may not even get that far as using?
True. Yes.
But then again, maybe it's something that we just don't realize that we need, and that after reviewing it, we would.
Well, I think, and that's part of what, when John Kennedy was here talking about it from American Structure, he was talking about the fact that initially that what they wanted to do was just communicate with people, find out what their needs were, and then use that as a basis to move to the next level. Ours, in fact, is basically saying, well, based on what we feel we're going to get from the information, we're going to proceed then with an actual facilities assessment or needs assessment.
Go a little further.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, and we don't know if we're talking about something that has to be done in stages or something that can be done all at once, or, does that require a facility itself, an actual building? Does that require, this, that, or whatever? Could we be putting the cart before the horse, so to speak? I'm not so sure.
Isn't that what we're kind of looking for, to find out if we need a building before we need other
Well, that's
things?
why the assessment is step one, but they may come back to us and say, at this point, you don't. Or maybe something 5 years down the road, and if we've gone beyond that with actual drawings or this, that, or we don't have any property secured, we don't I mean, at this point, we're just basically looking for information, correct?
Correct. Yes. Yes. Trying to get a plan, direction of needing land, space to get land,
Correct.
or we could find an existing building, for
Correct.
example, and stuff like that. But just get an idea, a direction of this is the right path to go down to.
I think having an interview with both groups would clarify that better, I
Sure.
think, to get all of those answers on the heart, what you were saying, what's the next step? Can we do an all-inclusive package with the Arts Group? Can we go that far? But I think if we sit down and talk with them, they'd be able to give us more of an idea than being locked in to something.
Absolutely.
So, just,
And if we're gonna do an interview, I would just ask that when they come in, or even before the interview, if they could provide their price for the specific thing that we asked for. So, if American Structure Point is doing, item 1, 2, and 3, and this, we're gonna do the assessment, we're gonna go to public outreach, and then we're gonna give you an executive summary. If the Arts Group can give us a price on that as opposed to everything else, and we can really see, like, are they both equal in their pricing, or
Sure.
or are they still higher or lower now?
Sounds good. Do we know if we have a budget that we're working within, Mike?
We have the under the other improvement for the Parks and Rec, other improvement, there's a engineering line item, basically,
Okay.
that would be taken out of.
And that would that be the same thing for the
park impact fee too.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
both would eventually come from that same fund?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
correct. Yeah. But yeah, it's fine. I could, I'll set them up and,
Well, I think the only question I would have with both of them is potentially, what would they do for us? Because they're both on the park impact and the facilities. What would they do
Correct.
for us in a combo?
yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I thought, I agree with that, because I thought that was, for both of them, I thought that was good. I mean, because, if you look on the park impact fee side, yeah, Arch Group is, lower, obviously, than the American Construction Point, stuff like that. But yeah, see what we can get out of both of them. That would be fine. I think that would be a good idea. And-
What kind of
sorry.
timeline are they looking on the, not, like, 'cause I remember the council seemed like they're wanting to like move this a little bit? Like, are they just gonna say we're taking too long and?
Yeah, no, I think, no, because they wanted a recommendation from you guys and wanted to look at it, thoroughly and stuff like that too. So I think if we, set up an interview for both of them, and for maybe, and talk about both plans and stuff, and do it for January. I'll even try to do it during the meeting night too and stuff like that. Maybe do it prior to,
Should we do a study session?
that could work too. Yeah. Yeah.
When we did the skate park, Arch came in, it was that thing we did a study
Yeah,
session, he
yeah.
came in, and it seemed to work, pretty
Yeah.
good like that.
Yeah.
And he can kinda like sell himself or whatever,
Yeah, no, sure.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, to me, that would give us something to chew on for maybe a week or so or two, and then be able to come with an actual recommendation
Yeah.
at our January meeting.
Yeah, I'll try to do it. I'll try to do it 2 weeks before. So 2 weeks before the fourth Tuesday in January. So 2 weeks from tonight, basically.
Right.
See if they can do something. If they can't, I'll do the third week.
But does that, I think that's probably, that way we're concentrated on specifically that, and not trying to squeeze that into
Other items.
other item meeting,
Right.
because, and otherwise, we're almost once we kind of digest it, we're almost asking them for another month to come up with some sort of a recommendation. So I think it expedites the whole process if we have the study
Yeah,
session.
but if we do it, if we do that study session then, and then do our meeting in January, we could have something for the council for February, basically,
Correct.
and stuff. So, which I think is fine. Would be plenty of time.
Okay.
Still the same time, 5 o'clock.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Same thing. Right, okay.
So we're looking at what, like 17th?
Our meeting, our regular meeting would be January 24th.
So then you're looking
That's
to
the
go
fourth Tuesday.
as
So,
quickly as the 10th?
so the 10th, yeah. Now, if they can't make if something happens on the 10th, I'll give 17th as a second option, basically.
Yeah, it would be nice to have them both here
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. So okay, yeah. So the 10th or the 17th, and then I'll get with them, and then yeah, I'll email out to you guys. Okay.
All right. Moving on, letter B, under 5, Civic Park batting cage and ball field backstop. Mike?
Okay. So this was a continuation from November when we talked about the batting cage and stuff. So I went back to both of the both fence companies and asked for some additional options for the batting cage. The ball field backstop for the T-ball field pretty much stayed the same. I didn't change anything on that. But within your memo, now I only got I never did hear back from SDI was the one I have not heard back from. I did hear back from them as of December 2nd, but I never heard anything after that from them. So the only new quote that I would have basically in options would be from Fence Masters, who had, we got the quotes from before and stuff. So there's 3 different options basically going back and forth. So the first one is that netting system that I sent out, and we had briefly talked about in November. That's the one I like the best, personally. I know it's more money and stuff like that, but I do think it's the would be the right way to go, especially long-term for the usage of the games and the practices and the teams using them back there. So there's a picture on there too that will kind of show an example of what they would look like. Now this particular site has multiple nets, so it won't look exactly like this, but basically would be, we have a double back there, so. And then Mike, you had asked a question on there too about the net, and it would include the net.
I saw you marked that in
Yeah,
there.
I marked, yeah, okay, so we saw on that. The second option there basically is another option for just straightening the poles, adjusting the chain link fence that we would have there, which is a lot cheaper option, obviously, but it would just basically, fix what's out there. And then the third option on here would show the straightening and adjusting the chain link fence, but then adding new nets with there for the cages. I also put on there the SDI quote on there from last time as well, just for reference more than anything else. But the purpose of this basically is just trying to get, the direction that we kind of want to go with this. I think this is something that is needed, has been needed for a while. I know those cages have not been used for, I think Mike has said it too, for last meeting, like 4 years or so, or something like that. Heartland Park has cages too, that's in similar shape as well, that would need to address as well in the future here. But this would at least be the first step in kind of, and again, this was in the park inventory plan that I put in there for Civic Park. But this would be, doing the cages and doing the chain link fence. So, like I said, I have not gotten another quote from the other company, but this is what we have right now, and just wanted to see what you guys thought.
I know I mentioned before, Fence Master, we've used them quite a bit out there in the
Yes,
field.
correct.
I have nothing to complain about with what
Yeah.
they've done.
No, they're very good. They're very good. The other company I have worked with too, and they've been fine as well. I haven't worked with them as much, I would say, as Fence Masters and stuff, but the other company did some stuff over at Larimer Park actually recently and stuff. But Fence Master is very good, and yeah, I know they've done a lot of stuff with baseball.
And on the quotes, I like the one with getting it all redone the right way, because then all you're really maintaining, obviously, the nets, but when those, the better you take care of them, the longer they're gonna last. I would imagine you can get at least 8 to 10 years out of them. Then the only thing
Yeah.
you're replacing is the net, because those poles are never gonna get
The poles will
destroyed.
be fine, and you won't have any problems with,
Kids climbing on 'em.
which I know that was an issue before.
Not our kids.
And then, the base that we have there, we find the concrete that's there is fine, so there's no ripping out concrete or anything like that. I mean, we'll just be taking everything down and redoing it. Not even, like, I know the baseball group would be using it too, but, anybody will be able to use it as well. So, anybody, any of your kids, or if you guys want to go out and hit, you guys, sure you can go out there and hit too. So, but my recommendation would be to do the first option. Yeah, that would be my recommendation.
The first option being, which dollar amount? I'm sorry.
53.
That would be the 53,131.
Yes, okay, yeah.
Right on the back, you have which fund it's coming out of.
Are we looking for a recommendation then to give to the board?
Yes.
Barb Tuesday, I'd like to make the recommendation for complete the cost for the material installation for the Fence Masters Incorporated, including the price of $53,131.
Did you say both of those prices?
Are they separate? Okay.
Yeah, they would be separate,
And,
yeah.
I'm sorry, and the $7,565 material installation.
Do we have to state what you're taking it out of, how you did it on the back, or?
As I put in the memo here, my plan would be taken out of the Park and Rec other improvement line item. We don't have to. We don't have to. And also there's another improvement, other improvement line item for Civic Park, for like the Civic Park fund that we would have. So the batting, the backstop I would take out of that particular one. The Civic Park other improvement line item, and then the batting cage I would take out of the Park and Rec other improvement fund.
Okay, said money to be taken from the other improvement line item for the Civic Park and the Park and Recreation improvement line item. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. And I have to write. I'll write up a memo with this too and stuff that I'll give to the town manager's office and to the council for their next meeting, and it would be in January.
So we have a motion on the floor for the Fence Masters quote for the backstop at 7565 out of the other improvements. Then the complete for the backstop was $53,131 out of the Park and Recreational Other Improvement Fund. We have a motion on the floor by Barb Tousley. Do we have a second?
Dave Beasold, I'll second that.
Dave Beasold with a second. All in favor of this motion, signify with an aye.
Aye.
All opposed with an nay, and it's carried.
Okay. All right, and I'll keep you updated with those two as I send the memos out.
I realize that some of these things, it may seem early to start doing these things, but it's really not, because
Yeah,
companies
I
start
mean,
planning everything
yeah, I mean, I know like,
as to when they're
Baseball.
available to you. The sooner you get to them, the sooner they get
Yeah.
to us.
yeah. I know baseball and softball, I mean, that all starts pretty much April 1st. It's,
Yeah.
as soon as the fields kind of melt and stuff, so. But yeah, I mean, this, again, and there's other items too. I'll have down the list too, and under the miscellaneous items too. I'll kind of, we'll keep moving forward with all that stuff. But again, all that stuff is from that park inventory, long brochure thing that I gave you and stuff like that too. So those are the reference points that I'm using when trying to do some of these, projects.
All right, letter C under new and old business items, Freedom Fest fireworks.
Yeah, so the fireworks for Freedom Fest, we had the two proposals. As I did not, now for the memo and stuff here, I just put the proposals in here. I did not, since there were so many pages, I emailed all that stuff to you. That's why for some of you guys, I
So
emailed
many booms.
like 3 emails.
booms,
Yeah.
booms.
It's, all like the show, what the show would entail and stuff like that. So I didn't include that in here, but pretty much both proposals were at basically the same price, basically the $25,000 for Mad Bomber and then RKM firework. So we have all this allocated within the Freedom Fest line item under the Community Events Fund. Mad Bomber had worked last year with Freedom Fest, and they did fine.
Yeah.
Everything was perfectly fine with them. So this was just an effort to try to get something else and see if if there's something else preferred with for you guys too to look at and stuff. So similar how we did the tent. I'm going to write this up and send it to the council for approval and stuff like that. But just more looking for right now recommendation on either one that you guys would like. I'm familiar with Mad Bomber. I've had worked with them in the past and stuff, and obviously with the first time with Freedom Fest. I'm not too familiar with RKM firework, but not that I'm sure they would do a fine job as well and stuff. But my recommendation would be to stick with what we did last year, basically, since everything worked out fine, and unless you guys thought otherwise.
I like that idea. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't hear any complaints. Sounds like everyone liked them.
Yeah.
And nothing against the other company, I just know
Yeah,
we've used
yeah.
Mad Bomber in the past.
Yeah, I reviewed the proposals, and the only huge difference I noticed, obvious one to me, because I'm reading all this other stuff, and I don't even know what they're talking about.
Yeah, well,
in terms
yeah,
of
all the-
like 5
Yeah,
inch. But Mad Bombers was a 22 to 25 minute show, whereas RKM
20.
was a 25
Yeah.
to 30 minute show. So
Yeah.
it seemed like we might just get a little
bit
bit of
more,
a longer
yeah.
show. But then again, I don't know.
Or they're
for that.
slower shooting them off. One of the two.
Could be. Could be.
Yeah, the number of booms anyway, seem to be compatible.
Yeah, the RKM also had a location. They were actually showing to like blow them off by the softball fields in between the softball and Babe Ruth over in that area. With Mad Bomber, they did it on the where the pole barn is, basically out in
Right.
those fields and stuff. So,
But that was on the owner of the property allowing that to happen.
Yeah. Yes.
So, I
yes.
mean, there was, not that that was difficult, but I mean, that is something that, if Mad Bomber is they just wanted the distance for safety, which makes
Yeah,
perfect
makes
sense.
sense. Yeah.
So, I mean, it would come down to whether or not, that could be done. I don't see a problem with that. It was, it was no problem last year, but at the end of the day, we can't assume it.
True. Yeah. Yeah. I have not talked to them. I didn't 100% realize that either and stuff like that. But I could talk with the
Right.
owner and stuff like that.
Well, I know Joe had reached out last year, and
Yeah.
it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't.
Yeah.
it
Nothing
wasn't-
huge or anything like
Wasn't
that.
an
yeah.
issue.
Yeah.
Barb Tousley, I would recommend for the fireworks, for the Mad Bomber, for us to go into contract with them for a cost of $25,000 for the July 3rd event.
We have a motion on the floor by Barb to use Mad Bomber for 25,000. Do we have a second on the floor?
Vanessa Markle, I second.
Vanessa with the second. All in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Opposed with an A. And it's carried. Letter D, under new and old business, miscellaneous.
All right. So these, I'm just going to kind of go through. These are, again, just kind of a list of items that I've been kind of working on with the town manager's office, and things I'm going to, that would be upcoming here within the year, similar to how the Civic Park thing worked out. Founders Park, we did send a request to purchase for the ID&R wing walls over at Founders Park. They would go on both entrances. The one off of was it 90th Street and Parish Avenue. So that's submitted to the council actually for this December meeting for the $6,500. So assuming that goes fine, I'll let the company know and then they'll get started up. Larimer Park and Lancer Park. Those have been painted, and then we had started with some bird netting installation on both of those, and which has been completed. And I know it's going to be a big help. It definitely will eliminate a lot of the nests. I know in Larimer there was 3 nests up there, which is not a big deal now, but it come the springtime, that nesting time, all those birds, eventually would come back and stuff. One thing I do want to, eventually try to work on with, especially Larimer Park, if you guys have, if you're out there, take a look. But the concrete on the pavilions all broken up basically and stuff. It's some of the pavilions that we have are like that, but that's a little more of the worser ones. Where I don't know, worser isn't even a word, but. But that's something I'm going to, look at doing and stuff. So here in the future. Homestead Acres and the dog park. Those are the next 2 that I'm looking at for painting and bird netting. The painting is actually pretty much scheduled to do here coming early spring, and then planning on sending a request to purchase for the netting for Homestead Acres and the dog park. Homestead Acres is one of the parks that is a rented pavilion. The dog park is obviously used primarily by the dog park, individuals. But again, we'll eliminate a lot of that nesting. That 6x6 concrete pad and the 3-sided enclosure for the existing portable restroom that we do have on site there isn't all installed now. So now we have the Gates Park, Homestead Acres, the T-ball field back here, all have that so far as of now, with more to come. Civic Park, that we did set up that ice rink, as I mentioned before. It is up right now. The snow over the holiday weekend did put a little damper on some of it, as far as it wasn't 100% frozen. The top was 100% frozen when the snow was coming down. So it kind of creates a lot of slush. But Thursday night we did get a lot off, which was a good thing. We did have 4 people out there on Thursday night. skating around. So, but the light pole is on back there actually right now. So, if you want to take a look at it again, there's a strip, like a skinny long strip that's a little more rough shape because of the snow. But now starting tomorrow for the next 7 days, I know we're supposed to get
Warm.
50-degree weather and stuff like that. So, which is not actually, I'm not a bad thing, because then it'll kind of reset itself after that snow. And again, it just needs to be solid before that snow comes down, kind of like concrete basically, and then it'll be no problem. But take a look if you like. I have the fence, the gate open out there and stuff. So, over at Heartland Park, I did do the request to purchase we talked about in our November meeting, for the disc golf course, for all those items. That was that 13,000 amount I did send over to the council. I know we talked about a concrete pad over by the T-ball field as well over there. So that's what I'm working on right now. Also doing one over at Lake Hills Park as well. Since we'll be doing a lot of the concerts in the park and some movies and that gets a lot of activity out there as well. I did send another request also to the town manager's office to fix 2 areas at the ball fields at Heartland Park. Field 1 and 4, where the bleachers at, you can kind of see in that picture that I show. It's kind of hard to see, but you can kind of see on the left-hand side. But there's large pieces of broken concrete. That's similar to what I was mentioning about Larimer Park. That's kind of similar to what's going on out there and stuff. But there's a couple. It was a 10 by 10 squares are out there that I was going to just redo, just so the bleachers sit a little nicer and there's no chirping issues and stuff like that. So. Let's see here. On the next page there, Heartland and Founders Park. Internally, we were talking about trying to stop some of the parking on the softball side over at Heartland Park on the path. So we were going to put up some bollards, 3-foot bollards, 3 at Heartland, 2 permanent ones and 1 fold-down one, and then we were going to do one actually over at Founders Park as well, since a vehicle could come from the street right onto the path. Basically, there's nothing stopping it or anything like that. So, looking to do that here also here in the spring. Grass cutting advertisements; those are bids are due on that on the 9th. So then I'll have more about that. We did post 2 job postings. Recreation coordinator, recreation specialist. Those have been posted at the Illinois Parks and Rec website, Indiana Park and Rec website, and then I did our e-news blast basically through the St. John Parks and Rec. And then I know I'm kind of talking here for a while now. I'll kind of briefly go through some of these. Then other potential planning projects here that I'm working on. Lantern View Park. Last meeting we talked about the playground and some trails and stuff. I don't have anything new to share on that as of right now with the holidays. The people I was working with needed more time to work on some items. So hopefully I'll have some stuff for January for you guys just to take a look at. A playground mulch, also getting quotes for that, and I'll share with those because those are up there in price. The restroom pads, concrete, and the enclosures. Huron Lake is probably the last one that we need to do because the splash pad that's out there, and that's pretty much the last portable restroom that we have, kind of a permanent portable restroom. Over at Lake Hills Park, still looking at trying to figure out how to fix the pier. And if you go out there, there's some broken boards on the pier and stuff. And the company that we purchased it from is out of business. So just looking for, I got some feelers out there of how to do it the best way and stuff like that. The slide is still broken. It's taken down but broken, but just waiting for the delivery of the new one. And then Heartland sand courts, for the volleyball courts, and then One Lake Hills sand court. I was looking at installing some new sand and kind of filling that back up a little bit. More so, especially for Heartland Park, is that's low, and we do have our leagues that are played out there. Gates Park, and behind this memo too is a copy of the sign basically. I think it should be the last page. But that's kind of like this was, I don't know if you remember, our town manager had sent sent out to you guys of the Founders Park sign. So this is basically the same exact sign, except for it says Gates Park. My plan, the idea, is to kind of do this throughout the parks, at least one at a time, fill in the ones that don't have a sign yet. And then, eventually go back and to replace a few. But this would be one on the Park Place entrance, and then one on the Klein Avenue entrance. So, let me know what you think of. Let me know what you think about
Are you
that.
thinking metal or wood?
It's recycled plastic.
Okay.
So it's heavy duty. So no metal, no wood. And it's from Lake County Corporation, which they do signs and stuff. And if I'm trying to think of an example, I don't think we have any around here. That's like in St. John, but it's just like if you go like the Gates Park, they have a few recycled benches out there, basically. What they kind of look like. So it's kind of a similar feeling, similar foundation, all that stuff. So that's what it looked like, and then pretty much. I thought it'd be a good idea to do the addresses in the bottom of all the parks too, just, for a simple fact, if somebody was calling the police or, asking for help and they didn't know where they were, they would just say,
Somebody
I'm on-"
lost.
Yeah, I'm on,
might this
10201 Park Place and stuff, so. Because, they could tell the police officer, I'm at Gates Park, and if it's a newer police officer, they're like, I don't know where Gates Park is, not that, I'm sure they all know where that's at and stuff like
It makes
that.
sense.
So.
It makes sense if they read what it says.
Yeah.
We've had issues with that where they say Gates Park,
Yeah.
and it'll give you the address off of Park, but it's off of Klein, or if it's off of Klein.
Yeah, no, correct,
I like
yeah.
the idea, because every time you come
Yeah.
in, you're gonna see it, then you'll be like, oh.
Yeah, and the addresses too it's not from Google, because if you go, there's a lot of them. If you type in like Lantern View Park, for instance, if you type in the Google address, it takes you to a house and something nearby and stuff like that. But these are the GIS site addresses and stuff. So they're the right ones. Let's see here. Civic Park. I was actually going to look at trying to fix up the side over here by the rookie field and the t-ball field. There's a fence and there's the tree line. I was looking just to kind of clean that up a little bit. Maybe pull some of the trees back a little bit. There is a fence back there, but there's trees are growing through it, on it, and just to straighten it up a little bit and clean it up. So I'll get more information as I go along with that. The skate park, actually, we have internally started looking at lighting over there. So I have some basic prices of stuff. We haven't, this will bring to you guys too and stuff like that as we move along. I know at one point that was talked about, way back when the skate park was initially going in and stuff, but getting that, just getting some information to, so we can make a few decisions on as we get to that point. The websites, our town website, I did put on a 2023 Parks and Rec program information. It's just it's a publisher electronic guide that I made. I'm not an artist or anything like that, but I think it looks okay for the most part. But it does list a few 2023 programs that I was able to get, and contractual programs mainly. I list some information. This lists all the stuff in the parks. A lot of the stuff in the park inventory, except for all the projects basically, but it kind of lists the addresses and with links, address links and where to go to. I did list like all your names too on there as the committee and stuff like that as well, but just to get a little more information on everything. And also, I don't know, St. John Neighbors Magazine, I know it goes about half of St. John. It's half of the subdivisions, I would say, so.
I know where it doesn't go.
Okay, so if you don't get it, it doesn't go. But I just, this past month, I did talk to him about getting some programs in there. So if you do look in there, there's a page that says St. John Parks and Recreation, and just strictly like program stuff. And like Bricks for Kids and the Young Rembrandt is kind of what we have going on now at the Parks office over there. So that's, my intent is to try to get, each month, try to, get some stuff into there. Picnic tables, we have a lot of wooden picnic tables that are broken. in poor shape, and that, we just need some new ones here. So that's another item that I'm going to be looking at. And again, kind of going away from the wood ones and going more to the recycled plastic ones. And then last thing, Freedom Fest with the tent rental that we all recommended is going to the town council for tomorrow. And then assuming everything will be okay, I'll send it back to the tent company. And then he did not make it, but there is an individual with it's a fitness company called Alpha Primal. I actually started working with them doing some fitness classes, stretching and mobility classes over at Coling School in October. They did one 6-week session so far. They're going to do some more in February, but. I have talked with him about maybe doing a some kind of fun run for the Freedom Fest at the very beginning. I don't know if unless you guys have objections to it or whatnot, but we were going to try to do something at Heartland Park and just again do it like a family fun run or something like that. And basically the effort is try to just get more people at the beginning. That's all.
Great.
And he couldn't make it, but I'll have, as we go along, I'll have some more information. Dyer Fire Department did do a fun run, and he was involved with it and helped organize it and stuff. And so I asked him about doing it here, and trying it out here, and for this event. And I think it would work, and I think it would be a good thing. But I'll get more more exact details and stuff like that, and share it to you guys as we go along. So, and that's all.
Okay.
I have.
Do we have a letter yet for the Freedom Fest of what we're going to offer for X amount of a donation yet, so we can, because the middle of January, we really almost need to start, or the end of January, going around to the businesses and dropping something off. I do not like phone calls, because as soon as you hung up the phone is hung up. I prefer to go out and drive around and deliver.
Face-to-face is always better.
Face-to-face is, you never get that. But we need to tell them what do we, here, we'd like this much money, but this is what we're going to offer you for it. So I don't know who makes that decisions about what we're giving for them,
What do you mean?
Well,
We had the outline on the sponsorship tiers is pretty much what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we had it out, like, if it was $1,500, you get the big banner and you get the recognition on the
Okay.
website. If it was
Right.
$500, you get the recognition on the website. So we had that framework, I think from Wendy, I think maybe her name was, she had emailed it over to us. And I think it's just up to us to say, okay, if we want to increase it,
Yes.
We can do that.
Do we need to have this type of meeting for that, or could we just have an informal meeting for that issue, or?
I think at some point in time, we'll probably need a study session early on in late winter or early spring to just concentrate specifically on the Freedom Fest and tighten up all matters pertaining to.
March 1st, we have to be a go.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, by late winter, whether it's in February or whatever, but we need to probably sit down and at least coordinate where we're at, what we need.
Find out who's got connections with
Correct.
whom.
Correct.
Great. Number 6, reports and correspondence. Town manager,
No.
town council liaison report,
He's not here.
and letter C, advisory committee members. Anybody have anything?
Mike, the only question I have on the job postings, without an assessment need, are we moving forward with that one way or the other?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, the intent is to do that pretty much. I advertise in both of them.
Right.
The coordinator position is what I'm looking at least first.
Right.
And to start that up right away, basically, and then to be involved with this, with us
Sure.
too, with the Freedom Fest, all that, and it'd be a lot of pretty much everything, program, events, all that stuff.
And, and how quickly are you looking to?
Well, right now I have the advertisement. It was posted on those websites I mentioned, December 21st, I believe. Yeah, December 21st. I have it dated out till the 27th of January.
Okay.
And then, do kind of interviews, either, week before or the week after, as they would come in and I'm thinking March, maybe, towards the end of February, if everything, how
So I guess where I'm going with this is, if that could be done that quickly, could they be involved in the whole Freedom Fest?
Yes. Oh, that's the intent. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes. I mean, I would like to. Hey, you want it? Good. Yeah, okay. You start tomorrow. I mean,
No,
but
okay.
but no, right? Yes. To be. I mean, especially when summer times come, because I mean, we're going to do some some summer camp stuff, just some
Sure.
contractual programming too and stuff, and just to start right away with all that. And
I mean, timing would be great to be having a chance to kind of see what you need to do before you're literally in the thick of it.
yeah. I mean, even doing like the thing on the website with the listening to some programs. I mean, I was trying to at least get something going so we could, that person can start it, and then kind of branch off from there and see what works. I mean, and we'll see what works. Kind of like when you watch TV shows and stuff, and this doesn't work, and
I just want to comment that Cherville already has their whole year plan out.
yeah.
They sent it to me the other day.
Anything else from committee members? Lauren, Vanessa, Howard? I don't have anything either. Number 7, public comment. Do we have any public comment?
I think he's
Step
the
up.
he's the chauffeur.
State your name.
Good evening. My name is Mitch Day. I live over in the Lake Hills development. Not aware that you guys have had anybody make public comment before, so I guess maybe I'm honored to be the first.
First in a while.
Yeah. And I'm really trying to understand your role as an advisory council. Obviously, you haven't been around for that long, so I think it'll be interesting to understand that, and I'm sure you're kind of trying to figure that out as well. I have had some interactions with Michael on some different things. There's been a lot of vandalism over at the Lake Hills Park, and so I'm kind of wondering, how can this advisory council help address some of those issues? So I don't know if you have any comment, or you want me to just kind of run through my items.
Go ahead.
So Michael's pretty well, I think, aware of those. I don't know how many picnic tables have been fished out of the lake, but I think there's some things that could be done to address that, and would love to see some improvements in that regard, because it seems to be getting worse. On my way over here tonight, there's a couple of ponds that are not parks. They're not defined parks, but they happen to have ice skaters on them. And they're not owned by the HOA, so they're owned by the town. And I'm kind of just trying to figure out, it seems like we've got a lot of these kind of loose issues. I know we've got the rink back here that you've put together, but I'll call those orphan parks. One is at Deodore and Parkside Lane. There's another one at Crooked Bend and Parkside Lane. I'm just confused on, are those part of the parks? Are they, who do you even contact when there's something going on there? Is it allowed to ice skate on town-owned ponds? Is it a police matter? Is it a public works matter? Is it a parks matter? So it just seems to me like there's some liability out there, and there's kind of a lot of these things that I think are difficult between the town and between the HOAs. And the bottom line is, nobody wants to take on any liability, right? Nobody wants to see something bad happen. So I'm just trying to figure out, who really is in charge of kind of watching some of those things, and what are the responsible things to do when those types of situations are observed.
I probably want to tell Mike, I guess we then have to determine if they're actually on town land or if they're on private property, which they very well could be. There's a lot of land.
Yeah, I'm very aware of the situation, and they're town-owned. They're not defined parks, but they are town-owned ponds, which kind of brings up the pond maintenance. I mean, the HOA, I think, has put in some fountains on town ponds. Is that really the right thing to do? So, kind of what the HOA should be doing on town property, and what, for the most part, the HOA should be doing the stuff that they're responsible for, right? So how do those boundaries kind of get managed? I think there's a lot of opportunities for improvement to kind of get those things in the right areas and handled by the right people.
Yeah,
Well, the ice skate is a town ordinance. That's an easy fix with the police department.
Right.
You contact them. They're not out patrolling people on, unfortunately, on ponds. Because like today, perfect example, is only 2 officers that are working on the street. You know, and they had 3 crashes, had some pretty, you know, emotionally traumatizing call today.
Sure.
You know, there was a lot going on. But something like that, you call in through dispatch, they're gonna contact us. Now I know about it, and I'm gonna go there, or the police officer's gonna go there as soon as they can to take care of that, because that is an ordinance, and we can, officer discretion, we can go out there and say, hey, get off the ice, ID them, the same kid's out there, or the parent, or whatever it is. The next time we can up it, we can give them a ticket, we can, a warning. There's options that the police obviously can do for that part of it.
And to put a positive spin on it, there's a city-provided place with lighting now.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
There hasn't been before. So to the extent that you can get that message out to people, maybe, they can take advantage of that instead of trying to do something that is against a town ordinance.
Right, and we always push the ice rink.
Dangerous.
Because we have a ice rink that you can go there pretty much, 3 or 4 days a week. They have open ice where you go skating. That's what we try to push when we go out there to, you don't want to go out there and upset everybody, but you gotta want to kind of explain to them, like, if you go through the ice,
Exactly.
if nobody sees you, you're under.
Good. So I am really interested in those orphan parks because I think before we even had some confusion on who's mowing them, because the HOA is not mowing them. I think the town is mowing them, but I think they weren't part of a previous parks issued mowing contract. So, yeah, I think it would be really good for somebody to just say, yes, these are in our purview, and explain that to everyone so it can be clear.
Yeah, I know, like, for the mowing now, like, even sending the proposal out and stuff like that too, like, so I did go through and try to define some of those areas better and stuff like that. So, if it's the same company or if it's somebody else to know a little better. And if they're missing something, obviously then I think, if it's town owned, then they should get it, or, for the park. I know I've seen stuff with like Lake Hills / park agreements for grass cutting too, which a few years back and stuff like that, and I saw that, and I wasn't even sure. I was kind of confused with that as well. I was like, I'm not sure what that was, because I think like the same company who was doing the park stuff was doing Lake Hill stuff, right? HOA, and stuff. So, I think even I've had a couple, just email conversations back and forth with the HOA, at least, and I do think I did ask, one of my last ones, if you have any. Stuff with like these park benches, or if it's whatever kind of improvements. It's great. I think it's, want to do improvements, okay, great, but it's got to follow. You're right, though. I mean, it should follow the right process. Permitting stuff, coming here, and just making sure everyone knows what's going on and stuff like that. So I have asked that. One of my last conversations back and forth with the HOA person. I mean, because there was stuff with irrigation and stuff like that from the summer, with getting too much water on the path. And, people telling me that and taking a look at it, I'm like, well, how is this flooding when it hasn't rained? And obviously, and I asked that to the HOA. They were going to go back and check, with their board and stuff. So, yes, I would agree with that. And I don't know, figure out a better way to communicate, on whatever projects I know they want nice things, and we want nice things, and just make it better. The vandalism though is true, and I have asked the police department, the police chief, to do some additional patrols when able, over at Lake Hills, because we've had probably picnic tables, and it's the same group of people.
You want
But
to chain them down to a tree?
the tables.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. They'll just get, well, I don't know. They would just get, well, first of all, they'll just get cut, I think. But we have the wooden ones out there. I'm not saying that, I mentioned about the recycled ones. The recycled ones would be a little bit heavier, but not that, if they're throwing the wooden ones in there, they're going to, the recycled ones, so they're going to find a way in there. But we've had recycle, or the picnic benches probably 4 or 5 times thrown over the pier, shopping carts. I think it's an Aldi shopping cart, but it was thrown into the pier. Large branches have been like stuffed in the pier. 3 garbage cans have been exploded out there and stuff like that. Trying to think what else.
A lot of dumping.
Parents about their children?
Yeah. They've been cleaned up. The first time we had ice, and Thanksgiving, right? We had ice around Thanksgiving time. If you went out there to the lake, you saw two of the garbage cans on top of the lake, and they were out there. I mean, you weren't going to walk out there because you were going to fall through. Not that it's super deep or whatnot, but it's like, it takes some time and some effort to actually do all that stuff. That's the thing. These are not small things and stuff, but I know, you had suggested about a camera in one of the emails and stuff like that.
Camera or a gate to
Stuff.
block off that back section. There's a back section where the old clubhouse used to be, where frankly, there's nothing good that goes on in that back parking lot. And so a town gate to prevent people from going back there, unless there's an event or something where somebody's setting up a tent or something in that direction. But that was a suggestion for your consideration to, if somebody's going to park, keep them parked out closer to Lake Hills Drive where they're more visible and can't hide kind of
not
in the
hiding
back
in the
part of
back,
the lake.
yeah.
So there's things that are out there, and there's people that want to help, and there's things that do need to be maintained. And I'm just happy to help, and just wanted to make sure that this relatively new council was aware of some of those types of things, because there's been so much focus on new parks and new activities, and that's all great. But some of these parks that have been around for a while are really starting to have some unfortunate things happen to them, and hate to see them get any worse than they already are, and would like to see them back on the positive upswing.
Yeah, and to answer your first question there too, I mean, we meet every fourth Tuesday, to have these meetings and stuff like that, and then make recommendations basically to the council to go in this direction or that direction with new projects, rehab projects, anything just park related. So the purpose is to go through everything, and even I do the miscellaneous items, stuff like that. Just throw everything there, and then say, okay, here's where we're at. And I did. We did. I know I keep talking about the park inventory thing. I know I talked to the town manager's office about the park inventory thing too. But I use that as a Bible almost and stuff, and that does list all the parks that we have, new ones, old ones, and stuff. And
The official parks, just not these
yeah,
orphan parks that I can't figure
correct.
out where
Yes,
they fit. Yeah.
yes. Yes. But going through each one of them and try to figure out, I do have a priority list as far as what it's my opinion, I guess. My priority list initially started off as of just saying this park is in worse shape, so it's number one, and then going down the line and stuff like that. So the intent is to go to each one in a sense to fix up, rehab, and do new stuff when you can do new stuff. But I would agree that there are some like the Civic Park batting cage and stuff like that, in the ball field backstop, those are things that just we just need to do just to start making it look nicer, sprucing them up a little bit.
Well, there's a long list of things to do. I certainly appreciate your efforts. If there's anything that I or others in the community can do to help, we're happy to do so. There's limited resources out there, and too long of a list, right? I think it's something like, I think the HOA in Lake Hills donated a new volleyball net there at Lake Hills, and so it could get donated, and it got put up, but now it's still there in the winter, and now it's it's going to be shot by next spring. So you'd like to think that when donations are made, that they're made and they go into a maintenance program, and somebody takes it down in the late fall and can put it back up in the spring. So it seems like some of that kind of management of maintenance type activities might be a little bit lacking, and would be probably good to have some type of a program in place to address those issues. So
Our park now have a person in charge, and I think we are finally moving forward on a lot of things, and public comments are very, very important, so we can do your concerns and make sure that all of St. John's parks and non-parks are taken care of. But I think we're finally, with having a full-time person, are going in the right direction. So you may want to be just a little patient with us.
good. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? I thought so. 8, any and all, anything for the good of the order?
I had a question. The park inventory
Yeah.
that we go off, is that public, or is that published or anywhere?
I can publish it. I don't have it published. I wanted to do that. I just haven't done it and stuff like that. But
Nice.
what I did, I took for that like 2023 park program thing. I took like half of it, and so it's on half of it. I would say it's on the website, basically listing amenities and addresses and where the park's at, acreage, all that stuff. I just got to put it together, and I'll send it to Jason and stuff like that, and we can put it up. But at least that would give an idea,
Right, because I mean, it would
Yeah.
be helpful, like I'm looking at Lake Hills and I can see
Yeah.
what is on the
Yeah.
plan for
Yeah.
what's happening
Yeah.
there and what's, on the radar.
Yeah.
And I think perhaps the residents would like to see that.
Definitely. All right, would you like to adjourn?
I will give a motion to adjourn.
Dave, the motion adjourns, do we have a second?
Barb Tousley will second that motion.
Barb with a second, all in favor to adjourn, signify